Hi everyone, Letty here, Party Planner Papery. I have a hashtag Paper Stash Smash 6x6 paper pad smash video, Echo Park's Spooktacular Halloween, and I've got two projects. Welcome back everyone. So I'm participating in hashtag Paper Stash Smash. It's a Crafty collab where a group of us are trying to smash through our paper this year. Now I was not able to join in last month, which I believe was a 6x6 month. And so I had mentioned at the beginning of this month that I wanted to work through some paper pads. And I don't remember if I even took this one out. I think I did, but I went ahead and I wanted to smash this. I was so inspired by so many of the crafty ladies that are in the collab. They used this collection last month and I thought it was just too cute. And I had just recently hauled it from an Echo Park warehouse box sale, and I wanted to use it. And I picked up this stamp set as well in that same Echo Park warehouse sale. This one is the Monster Mash, and I have it covered because I've already stamped some of the stuff, but I think this one's called Frankly Adorable Stamp Set, and there's the SKU. So, and I had stamped and colored and die cut out some of the sentiments already. The paper pad itself is called Spooktacular Halloween. It's an Echo Park 6x6 paper pad. It was 24 sheets. I have smashed it. Look how much glue they had. Look how I just tore that up. Okay. Well, I did have a little bit of scraps, but this was it. And it was really from the top parts up here with the hang tag. So it wasn't even really part of the actual 6x6, but I went ahead and saved it just so I could show you. Everything else was not usable, or I definitely just used it in the projects that I did. I did two different types of projects. And so I did some tea favors, like tea pocket favors. And I also did some cards. Now, because I started YouTube memberships this month, I wanted to add a couple of extra sort of YouTube membership exclusive videos for my members. And so I did add two different videos so far this month for this collection. And one of them was sort of like an intro behind the scenes of how I break down my pad. I do the initial cutting, my thought process. And I actually also did a little bit of that coloring that you saw here. We did that on camera too. I just kind of chatted and crafted. And then I did a second video where I did the tutorial for the actual little tea favors. And so I will at some point release the same tutorial here on my regular YouTube channel, but I just wanted to mention that I did technically add it as an exclusive for my members already. And so if you are a member, you should be able to check those videos out. They'll be available for you to see and view and, enjoy. So without further ado, let me show you the actual projects that I've made. I'm going to start with the cards so I can lay them out flat, and then we'll get into the tea favors. So I had I had four of these larger A2 size cards. I did bring in some holographic cardstock on these. This is the Recollections brand from Michaels. It's kind of my go-to now that Joann's is no longer with us. And so I did do two of the same design. So you got two of each of the different types of cards. You see here, I used different enamel dot colors. I just really used what I had in my stash. These are some of the ones from Not Too Shabby. I absolutely love them because they're like the glitter enamel dots. I don't know if you can see the glitter, but it's super sparkly, super cute. You might be able to see it a little more on that one, but super, super adorable. And so what I did with this was I had a 3x4 cut apart, layered it on a mat. I put two scraps together plus an additional little hang tag scrap. So there's holes back here somewhere that I'm covering up with this little 3x4 cut apart. On the inside, I did add one of my little Halloween banner sentiments that came with this stamp set. It's right here. Again, I had colored it and fussy cut it out. I glued it here, and then I went ahead and added Happy and then a little stamp spider that was also in this stamp set. And I did the same thing on both of them. They look pretty much exactly the same. So I did two of each design. And then on this card, this was a couple of scraps that I had left over. And then also I had one of the 2x2s left over at the very end. Well, one set, which is, two of them total because there was two sheets. I added the banner, added my little sentiment from the stamp set, added my enamel dots, did some doodle lines, like these little dashes. That's something that I hand drew on, and some lines here. And by the way, these two scraps were what were left over after I had cut down like these two patterns. So I made my segment here, and I think I did it like 4 inches wide. And what I had left over, maybe a little bit less, what I had left over is what I had cut down to make these little segments here. So let me show you the insides of these though. I did a doodle line all the way around. I'd make sure to add that white map since I'm using a black card base. I stamped the little spider from the stamp set and then added a couple of my scraps. So these were scraps that were from the beginning, the top part of the paper pad, the hang tag with the little hole. I cut it on either side, and that's what I had put into the insides of the cards. And both of them, again, are pretty much exactly the same. The paper combinations might be slightly different. I just used the scraps that I had left over at the very end to decorate all the insides of my cards. So these are the two A2 size cards that I had. I also did do some smaller ones. So I did a slightly smaller A1 size. So I brought in an A1 size card, which is smaller than A2. And I just trimmed off a tiny bit at the top because I wanted to use it for these 3x4 cut aparts. I added a layer of holographic cardstock. Now these two cards were horizontal. So I went ahead and I also added the little banner on the inside with the stamping. But then I did both of them the same. Because there were 2 sets of each of the cut aparts, and then I had a couple of extra sets. And so what I did for these was I just added a little scrap on the inside, a little paper scrap. And again, each one is different. I just added whatever I had. But these are my small little, like smaller than A1 size cards that I had using the 3x4 cut aparts. And then I had some 3x3 cut aparts in this paper pad. I think there were 2 pages of 4. And so what I did was I stamped out Spooky Season from this stamp set. So here it is right here. And I just stamped it right onto the cut apart because it was like a white space right here. And I'm not a fan of white space. I'd rather have the little sentiment. I added a little layer of holographic cardstock and I put them on a little black card base. I think these are like 3.5 inch card bases. I just cut it in half, 3.5 by 7, folded it or scored it in half. Added some scraps of white paper that I had in my stash, plus some little scraps from, again, the hang tags on the paper. So each one has just a slightly different inside, but you can kind of see, like I just mixed and matched some of the patterns. So we've got this one that says Spooky Season. I think that's super cute, especially with that little stamp. We've got this one that says Spooky Vibes Only. We've got this set and it has Let's Get Scary. And then I have this one with the little witch. And again, all of them do have a little bit of extra scrap paper on the inside. So those were all of the cards that I made. I also did a little tutorial, again, for my members for a new, at least new to me, version of a tea favor. When I went to Ollie's recently, I had purchased some packs of tea at a very discounted price because I wanted to start prepping for like fall craft markets. And so what I did was I wanted to come up with a very easy design using 6x6 paper with minimal like work put into it so I could use up some of those tea bags. And that's what I did. So I believe I ended with 14 different ones. These turned out super fun. What it is, it's a little bitty folded tea pocket here. You do have a little spine. It's a 1/4 inch spine. We've got our little 2x2 cut aparts that came in the collection pack or pad. I have a little scrap here. I've got my little folded with the pumpkins. When you open it, you have a little pocket here on the right hand side, and that's where I'm adding the little pack of tea. If you don't want to give out tea or you don't want to use tea, you could also put like a little Ghirardelli square, like one of those little chocolate squares right here. And if you alter the tutorial that I have for my members, you could technically make it a little bit longer and it would be perfect for a gift card holder. I will end up, again, I'm going to end up doing a tutorial on this. It might be next month, might be later this month. I don't know. I will end up doing a tutorial for my channel, like my regular channel. So I'll have that coming. And then I'll also likely also do one to show you the size for the gift card. So you can see both ways. If you want to do it for tea or you want to do it for a gift card, I'll probably also show you where you can do it like this vertically, or you could do it like this horizontally, and kind of the different renditions there. But I did put a little mat right here on this part of the flap, and so that way you could write a message to the recipient. And then you got some of that cute pattern that's poking through. One thing I mentioned in my tutorial video was that you could also put a little Velcro dot right here and kind of pinch it down, close it. and you would actually be able to have it with an actual seal. If you wanted to, you could also punch some holes and add some little twine and tie a little ribbon. You've got lots and lots of options. You could glue some ribbon on both sides. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted. I tried to make it as easy as possible. You could also stamp a little sentiment right here. You could add some doodle lines. You could add some stickers. You've got so many options. If you wanted to punch a little notch holder right here, like a little half circle, you could very easily punch a little notch right there. You've got so many options. On the back, you could always put a to from label, especially if you're going to be using it to sell at your craft fair and you want a place where somebody could put like to and from. You could also, of course, put your handmade by, like handmade by Party Planner Papery, that kind of thing. So you could always do something like that. So you've got so many options with this. And again, you could rotate it and have it sort of a, you know, a vertical this way right here, or horizontal this way, or you could do it vertically this way. Either way. So I ended up making, like I said, I want to say I did 14 of these. I think they were so fun. It's such a quick and easy little tutorial. I show this, again, on my exclusive, my membership, my YouTube membership. I didn't put tea in all of them, but I also show you how you're supposed to pinch to make sure that you have room in the pocket. So I'm just going to kind of quickly show you all the fronts because all the insides are the same. It just depends on what patterns I was using, but I think they turned out cute. And I think this is a great project for these 2x2s. It really works perfectly. I forgot to mention the best part. This project is a no scrap template. So what you'll do is you'll get one sheet of the 6x6 paper and you won't have any scraps left over. Now I did mix and match my patterns. So if you want to mix and match your patterns, and you'll want to do 2 sheets and you'll end up with 2 of these, but again, no scraps. So that was the other sort of impetus for kind of wanting to design a new little tea favor pocket. One of the things that I wanted to do was, of course, 1, make it easy, but then 2, also have it to where I didn't have any scraps left over, because that's just, they're the bane of my existence when I have to put scraps away. And I'm just not, you know, I'm not a big fan of the scraps. I want to try to use it up while I can. And I was super excited because this collection I had just brought into my stash in July, or at the end of July, beginning of August. I have a little unboxing video of that haul. I'll try to link it at the very end of this one so you can check that out. But I definitely was able to get quite a bit of items. I think I'm ready. If I end up doing a Halloween craft fair, I am ready to go. One other thing that I did not mention is, even with the little tea bag in there, this is actually relatively flat, and you could mail this in a regular envelope and pay regular shipping. Now, if you put a little Velcro dot, it might be a little bulkier, but it's still actually relatively thin. You could always just kind of squash it a tiny bit, maybe this way. And you see how it's very thin, even with the tea bag in there, it still is less than 1/4 of an inch thick if you flatten it a little bit, you know what I mean? And so it definitely could go as like flat mail, as some happy mail for your crafty friends or whoever. So I really enjoyed this little tutorial. As far as what I shared, it was super easy. Again, if you're a member, make sure you check that out. That was one of the 2 videos that I did for this paper pad. I will have a tutorial for my regular channel here coming up very soon, hopefully, probably with a different paper collection, of course, because I've already smashed this one. But make sure you check out the hashtag Paper Stash Smash. I will have a playlist that I will link in the description box of my video, so you can go check out a ton of inspiration. I'll also, again, link my haul video from Echo Park at the very end. And I have a ton of like 6x6 smash videos. If I remember, I'll also list a playlist at the very end of this one. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got a little bit of inspiration to take out that paper to smash it, and not just leave it in your stash. I know every time I go through a paper pad, I really want to just jump into the next one. So I'm super excited about that. I can't wait to show you what I've got working next up the pipeline. But thank you so much for watching. Thanks for visiting. And as always, happy crafting. Thanks so much for visiting, everyone. Drop me your favorite Halloween emoji down in the comments to let me know you made it this far in the video. Happy crafting.